Hello everyone, it's Amanda. So today I've put together a video that walks you through a process of building a number guessing game. So there are different parts that you need to understand to get a final number guessing game put together. So if I were to go ahead and run this, you'll see that the program will generate a randomly generated integer. The program does specify what the random number generator is. And if I enter a value that's not A, like 3 or like 5, it keeps track of the number of attempts or the tries. And then if I go ahead and put 8 in, you can see it says you guessed correctly, it took you 3 tries. Now in order to get this program to work, you need to understand a couple things. First, you need to understand how to get input from the user. So if you look on line 8, I'm basically building a variable called guess, and in line 9 I'm printing on the terminal enter a number. And for a lot of you this is going to be new. In line 10, under the format library, there is a scanf function or method that allows you to basically take the input from the terminal, and in this case it's %d, which is integer. It is assigning it to the memory address of guess. So you can see in front of the guess is specifying a memory address. So this is going to store a value entered in by the user from the terminal into the memory location of guess, which is essentially assigning it to the variable guess. And then finally, the last line, it says you entered %d again, which is integer and guess. So let's go ahead and run this. And I'll just say 22. You entered 22. Okay. The next discipline you need to understand in order to build the final random generator guessing game is you need to generate a random number. So you'll notice that the library math/rand is being imported. You also notice time is being imported, the time package is being imported, and then we have the format package. But if you look at line 11, you'll notice that there's a rand for the random package, and there's a function called seed. So it's very similar to a lot of other programs. When you generate a random number, you do need to see the process, meaning that if you were not to provide a seed, the number generated will be a predicted value. That's the nature of the way CPUs work. So by doing what we're doing here in the seed function, we're passing time.now and then converting it to Unix time. And then what that will do is it will seed the random package, and then the number variable is basically assigned to a random integer from 0 to 11, but not including 11. So basically a number between 1 through 10. And then of course we'll print the number. So let's go ahead and run this again. And run it again. And then again, just to show you that this program is randomly generating values. So there's your 0 and 6. Okay, moving on. Now we have a very simple guessing program that basically generates a random number, and then it's going to ask you to guess that number, and you only get 1 try. So everything should look familiar to you so far, which is basically we're creating a guess variable in line 12, and we're seeding the random library package in line 13, and then we're actually generating the random number in line 14. And then we'll actually display the random generated value in line 15, and then we're asking you to actually guess the number in 17. And then in 18, we're assigning the inputted value from the terminal, the %d is for integer, into the memory location of guess. And that ampersand guess, the ampersand in front of guess basically represents memory location. And then we check to see if guess is equal to the random number, and then we print you guessed correctly, or if you guess incorrectly. So let's go ahead and run this. you'll see that the randomly generated integer was 4, and we'll go ahead and incorrectly answer this. See, it says wrong, the correct number was 4. Let's run it again. This time the random generated number was 0, and we'll put in 0, and it says you guessed correctly. So this was a very simple guessing program where you only get one try. So back to our original intent was to build a random guessing game that would ask you multiple times to input a number, as well as keep track of the number of tries by the user. So in line 7 and 8, we're just assigning a variable tries and assigning an integer number of 0. And then if we drop down to line 23, it's the main function. And then in the main function block, you'll see that we start with 24 with the random number, 25 we generate the random number, 26, and then we are then printing out the random number. And then in 27, we're going through the process of now taking that number and moving it into the guess number function. And then I go up to line 10, which is the guess number function that passed that value, the random number. And then you'll see in line 11, I'm incrementing the number of tries by 1. And then I am printing out the number of tries in line 12. And in line 13, I'm asking the user to guess the number. And then in line 14, I am now taking the input from the terminal and assigning it to the guess variable using the ampersand sign. This is very similar to the guess example that we tried before with a single attempt. But what's different here is that if you drop down to line 19, you'll notice that we're in the else block. It'll say guess again because you guessed incorrectly, and you'll be calling the same function again. So basically we're going to loop through the process until the user enters the correct value. And you should always be aware that you can always hop out of the program by just passing the interrupt key sequence. It's just Control-C, which will stop the actual loop process in the program. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so the randomly generated integer was 9, and then let's go ahead and put in some incorrect values. I'm gonna put in 2, 6, 9, and then I'll enter the correct value, and there you go. You guessed correctly. It took you 4 tries. Okay, hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you again next time. Bye.